announce, but the plenaries will be transmitted by YouTube. And we are sending now for many people that could not come. If they want, they can follow the plenary talks by YouTube. This is a presential meeting, but nowadays it's nice to be together once in a while, right? Even if you lose your bags in the plane, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to broadcast what we have, right? So we are announcing anybody that goes to SIPOF at YouTube, you're going to see the links for every day. There is a link for the plenary talks only. We're not going to broadcast the seminars, but the plenary. So soon we can put it here, and if you have friends that were unable to come, they can follow. But I don't want I don't want you to start to think, oh, maybe I'm going to stay in the hotel and see from there. You see, because science is made with knowledge, mind, and connection. We all know that, right? 30% of your problems you can solve. Another third, your students, and the rest of it, your partners, your contacts, your discussions. So it's very important to get acquainted and discuss some of these things. I think we are being prepared to start the broadcast, and then we officially going to start, okay? Just 1 second. I know we have a little delay, but that's common here. Anderson? Not, it is Anderson. Oops. Okay, so we are already live in the YouTube. And I want to thank you all for coming. You see, laser physics is a traditional meeting. It's been around for decades. Started by Professor Prokhorov, by a group of people, including Lazar, that's in the registration, and was going very well. During the pandemic, we had a drop. Could not do anything. Nobody could do anything. And now we are trying to recover this large community that used to get together in different parts of the world. And so that's why I decided that we should have a meeting, even though with a lot of difficulties concerning other reasons. But we should have this meeting and restart to involve the students, involving the communities on laser physics. So that's why we are here. And I know that for everybody coming abroad is not easy. Planes are always late. And then you need to have traffic. And then you need to lose your bag. And then you need to, you depend on so many things. But you are here, so means that we still giving value to community that gets together periodically in different parts of the world. This is one of the meetings that travel mostly around. It's been in Brazil many years ago in Iguaçu Falls. Was a wonderful meeting with almost 600 people. But this time I could not afford to take everybody to Iguaçu Falls. It would be wonderful again. But I hope that some of you can have courage enough to go to Iguaçu at this time of the year because it's beautiful. Okay, so the laser physics has a big history. I'm going to tell very briefly. I'm trying to innovate because you see, most of us developing lasers, understanding lasers, using lasers, we have a small connection with some of the professionals. Laser is no longer a tool for the labs. It's a device for medical doctors, it's a device for dentistry, it's a device for therapeutics, it's a device for so many applications around. Communications, everything. So I decided to invite here in Brazil 2 different communities. One that uses lasers, which is ABLOS. This is a Brazilian Association for Laser in Dentistry and Health. And they have many associates. We did invite all. The president is here of the association. And I asked her to do a small meeting within, engage it in our meeting, because then we can promote the interchange of those communities. The other one is CIS-Photon. You see, CIS-Photon is a platform in Brazil where the federal government is trying to put together, making a network of laboratories that somehow has to do with lasers and optics in general. So I also invited them to do a one-day symposium here, mostly to get acquainted with the international laser physics community. Okay? So that's why you're going to see some people circulating with a little different badge. But being in the coffee break together, having them in our seminars is wonderful, because we can meet the people that are very worried about using that for health or for telecommunication or for many other things. Okay. Of course, I want to welcome you all. I already said how hard it is to travel abroad. I myself travel a lot. I know that sometimes we need to go to Europe for 2 days and return. And it works to do. I think so. Because when you expose your work, when you have a chance to share a coffee with somebody interested in your work, makes a big difference, right? So this work. And I appreciate you have done that. I hope you have time to relax too. We have a weekend for relaxing. So you recover and then you get tired again when you return. But at the moment you can relax. The weekend we can organize many tours around and everything. So we're going to relax. So I want to welcome you all to this place. This is the University of São Paulo. The University of São Paulo is the largest university in Brazil. This is one of the camp of the University of São Paulo. We have many places in the state with the University of São Paulo. And here we have only physics, engineering, chemistry, and mathematics, including architecture in the engineering school. Altogether, we have about between 17 and 20,000 students here in São Carlos, in the University of São Paulo. In São Carlos, we also have the University Federal, which has a little larger number of students, and then we have the 2 other private. So São Carlos is very much like half of the population students. So it's very much like some cities we know in Texas, right? Where the population is 200 and 110 are students. So this is more or less what we have in São Carlos. Laser physics workshop is a workshop that starts based, connected with 2 journals. Originally, it was one journal of laser physics, and then they started the laser physics letter. This was a very good initiative of Professor Prokhorov, the Nobel Prize, one of the founders of this whole field. And then, for some reason, there was a little bit independence, but we wanted to catch together. You see, I am nowadays I am shared between Brazil, United States, and I know how hard it's been for students in many labs to publish. Today, the reality is that we pay to read, we pay to publish, but we We are not paid for judgment. Nobody pay us to read those infinite papers we receive every week to give our opinion. Well, pay a little bit, it's fine. But the reality of Latin America, many countries in Africa, even in Asia, is that paying $2,000 a publication is not reasonable. Some students in many countries, they get scholarships that adding up the whole year is $2,000. And here we have a journal that does not charge anything. And even though we're getting a lot of publications or a lot of submissions from one part of the world, but we needed to have submissions for all the world. So I'm calling you to help and submit papers to the two journals, because the idea will be to innovate in a way that many, many young people can publish their papers. I see the reality, at least in Brazil and some neighbor countries. Many people start in their labs. They don't even have money for the tables. And then they got the results. This is fantastic. But they cannot publish. And if they publish in their only national journals, and they don't get abroad. So Laser Physics and Laser Physics Letters has this mission. And I have here the representative of IOP. Everybody knows IOP, which is an institute that has the same philosophy. We needed to promote the diffusion of knowledge among everybody. There are many papers in laser physics that has over 1,000 citations. And we have to recover that. And I am the editor-in-chief. And I don't know why they choose me, a mistake probably. But we do need to offer to the world possibilities. So if you could, originally everybody that presents paper in this conference can submit a paper. And we divide in pairs to evaluate. I want to recover that. So the International Workshop of Laser Physics has to be again reconnected with the journal. So that will give a chance for many people to get engaged and to go on. I know the pressure we have. I have the equivalent pressure. We know what our boss are asking us to send the papers. We know everything. But we are getting in a situation that I have a paper in my suitcase. I want to submit it to Physical Review Letters, which I grew up publishing paper on it. But now students say, oh no, don't we have a better journal? It's amazing. So what are we doing here? So we have to fulfill some requirements because people pay our research and we have to compromise. But we need to make the students to expose the amount of theses of students, master, PhD, that are going nowhere is amazing, large. And this is a lack of vision. So we needed to go. And I'm sure she's going to speak after me. And the representative of the IOP, the International Physics Institute, will explain to you. Okay? Very well. All right. I want to thank you. You know, normally we thank at the end. I want to thank you, my group. I have a wonderful group of people here in São Carlos. Many faculties, many students, many postdocs that are helping to organize this. They are not charging anything, and they are going around the world. Today we start to receive a phone call. Yesterday, start 5 o'clock. Oh, I am in the airport. What is the car? And we try to do the best. It's not easy to transport 160 people from São Paulo to here, arriving different times. We had to organize vans that goes and wait a little bit and everything. So I thank you for your patience. But everybody's getting here. So in a way or in the other. And, you know, Coffee in Brazil is very good. And pão de queijo is even better. Today, the coffee break, you're going to have an experience of the traditional Minas Gerais coffee and pão de queijo. Good combination. You could wait in the airport. That they have. Costs less than $1. So I appreciate, and we're going to make, we're going to try, we're expending part of our money making this logistic to make your life easier. So I hope you understand that problems comes on that. So all these people is being day and night trying, because we didn't hire anybody to organize. We have the organization of laser physics that normally is Oleg, Alexander, and Professor Lazar, and nobody else, because we decide to put all the money in other things. Make you eat well, make you travel well and everything. So thank you very much for my group here in Brazil, and they are really amazing. They could make a difference anywhere in the world. Okay, we have sponsors, because today we didn't want to charge $1,000, $2,000, so we charge $500, and it's not enough to cover. We paid many tickets for plenary, we pay hotels, transportation. You're going to see that there are many, many events, and of course I had to convince the agencies, hey, please give me some money. And then they ask, okay, what's the advantage of give you money? We are living in a different age now. Before we organize a meeting, we had money from all the main organizations. Now, hard to get. But those are the people that somehow help us in many different ways. And let me then explain what was the reason I used to get the money. You know, you have to have a good product, but you need to get a good seller. Otherwise, it doesn't go. You are in São Carlos, right? But in Brazil, we have here Anderson Gomes. He works for the federal government. He's a traditional laser physicist in Brazil. And he came, he's going to give a plenary, still work in the lab on Fridays, he told me. And the rest of the time he's in Brasilia. We have about 3,500 people working optics, lasers related and everything. So we have about 100 laboratories around Brazil. And that's why the government is creating a platform. So your presence here is a way for us to promote the engagement with this community too, because they are not traveling as much as they can. And it seems that now people are investing more in science, but everywhere in the world they are facing different crises. Always the science is something that can wait a little bit, right? And but we are not unhappy. What I decided to do when I spoke with Olga and Prokhorov, Alexei here, I said, well, to take this to Brazil, we needed to promote something. Because maybe it's easy for 20 Brazilian physicists to go out. Why don't you let me focus in students? And this is what I did. And that's the way I convinced to get some money from the agency. This meeting is majority students. We start yesterday selecting 50 undergraduate students that are working in laser-related topics, and we had a small symposium of undergraduate in research. And I don't know if they are here, because you know it's hard to keep all those kids early in the morning, but they are in the conference. And then we have another 100 and something students. And what I did is I convinced those agencies that those students will not pay. And of course, with that money we use it for support many things, but laser physics agree we are waiving all the fees for those students, some of them from Latin America. And you have to know that you have many students in the audience. And those are students that are decided to stay in science, to go to science. And I hope you do your presentation always motivating those students, because many of them wants to be acquainted with you, maybe have a chance to go to different labs in the world. And since we already selected them, it's a very good screening for you to talk with them. And because most of those students never went out, because their advisor was not able to pay any travel. Okay, now I'm going to speak a few minutes about practical stuff. First of all, we have the plenary in the morning with a break, coffee break. Coffee break is not here. You cross the street, there is a central part where you register, coffee is there. So by 10:30, if I'm not wrong, we have a coffee. Why you should go to the coffee? Oh, because the coffee is good. But more than that, is where you're going to meet the rest of it. Okay? Try to be in the coffee. And for that to happen, you need to keep the time of your section. Don't allow delays. This is terrible. You know, not have time to start and not have time to end. It's complicated to everybody. Everybody gets unsatisfied. So we should keep that in mind. Okay? The chairs, everything. We're going to have 1, 2 persons of our group in each room. If you have a problem, just, who is the guy, local guy? He's going to go and help, okay? Lunch. That's an important issue. Initially, I was thinking to provide sandwiches. But we have in a walking distance, walking means no more than 10 minutes, nice place where you can fast, get your food, eat, and get acquainted with another 4 or 5 people in the table and have a conversation. So, you know, we are here. Let's see if I can make sure I point. Here. If you get out, either there is a pathway here, it's only walking. You already get in this street here. Here. See, this is USP. If you walk here, then you have many, many fast restaurants that are very nice. If you don't want to walk in that way, you walk in the street on this side, and you're going to get, again, in a few restaurants. There is one that's natural. You only eat natural stuff, grains and everything. Very famous here. They can accommodate a lot of people, so you are welcome to go. I know some people, famous people, that do not eat beef or meat in general. That's a good place for you to go, Agarwal. So there is this Mãe Natureza, is this one I was saying. There is Dom Adriano, is a corner here. Then there is Frei Damião. Everything is very near. If you walk here, it's less than 10 minutes, you are in any of those. If you want to have something more sophisticated, you have to go here or here. This is a Syrian food. And then we have a Baroni, a little fancy, but may take more than, you have 1.5 hours of lunch. Try to enjoy. Nothing is expensive here. Food is much less expensive than in many places. You'll be able to have a decent meal in a very, very affordable. Some students are invited to go to the student restaurant. But I think if you could make you're a student? So make an effort and go with some faculties to this place. Good. Okay, this is lunch. We did here in the neighborhood of São Carlos, and in São Carlos itself, there are places for you to go. That's why we have a weekend. And there is a guy there sitting on the registration place that can organize for you to do whatever. If you are more radical, then you go for canoeing. If you are less radical, go for a walk If you are in between, go for a climb. If you are nothing of this, you want to visit one of those centenary farms of coffee in Brazil, you can go. They normally offer a wonderful breakfast, but everything has to be planned. Okay? So you needed to go and say, I want to. We have about 20 or 30 foreigners that already subscribe to go, and this is being organized. The rest of it wants to go, has to speed it up. Today we have a reception. Today is June in Brazil. June in Brazil is the month of some special food. It's called Festa Junina. Normally we dance, we dress ourselves like strange, but we're not going to do that. We're only going to have the traditional food. It's based in corn, it's based in, it's a very healthy because this is a party that comes from the farm side, from the countryside. So please, today, after we finish the activities, you go back to that place. We call the aquarium because it's all glass around. And we're going to have traditional food. I'm not allowed to serve alcohol inside the university, but you're going to drink a special coffee. Okay? And enjoy the special coffee. It's allowed, but you're going to enjoy. Okay? That's the drink that people used to prepare in the farm. And that's good. Good. So, we're going to start about 9:30. Basically, it's almost a dinner because we're going to have a pastel, we're going to have hot dogs in our style, not the American style. We're going to have a canjica, we're going to have a curau, we're going to have all kinds of corn prepared. Oh, 7:30. Sorry, I am 19, I dropped the one. It's 9:30. Thank you. You pay attention, huh? After it's done with the activities, move there. Then you have the reception, and I'm sure you'll be ready to go home and sleep. Okay? We have a conference dinner. Everybody is invited. And we're going to eat, I remember many times I do in a rodizio, in a churrascaria that serves 20 types of meat. This time we change. We're going to eat picanha and another beef cut that we have here. And it will be a dinner in a also traditional rustic restaurant. And then it's Rancho da Picanha. Saturday, 7 p.m. You should be there because when you get to the door, you're going to get a drink, a Brazilian drink. And then you get to warm up. You choose a table. We're not going to make tables of 20. Tables are from 6. Get your group, get another friend, meet another guy, and go there. 7 o'clock we start our dinner. Everything is included. You don't need to pay extra. And we're going to have an experience that's different from what you find, because churrascaria with many, many meats, we can find everywhere. In Texas, in New York, you know, Brazilians took that everywhere. But a special type of meat, no. What's happened if you don't eat meat? You cannot go? No, 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 no. We prepare a very nice eggplant and everything dish. I don't know if Agarwal will be here on Saturday night. But if you are, I was thinking on you. Oh, you better be. You're gone. But I know that many people are not so satisfied with a lot of meat. So, but there will be a vegetarian dish that you're going to enjoy a lot. It's so good that maybe some people want to have both. You can't. Okay? There is about 20 or 30 servers for the non-beefy or the vegetarians. But please, the place is not here, right? It's a walking distance. Everything is walking distance in this city. But we can provide some vans to take you to and the midpoint is here. So if you feel better, you have to give your name to the secretary, because we need to know how many people wants to take the van here to go to the dinner. Okay? That dinner will be nice. And I'm going to serve the first alcohol drink, which is a caipirinha or any other type of Brazilian drink. But during the meal, anything you ask, you're going to have to take care of yourself. We're going to provide some drinks during the meal, but not heavily beer and alcohol and everything. Okay? And believe me, I have to do that to avoid many complications. But the half of it is given, and if you don't want to buy whiskey or special drinks, you'll be provided. You're not going to drink dry, eat dry. You'll be well fed. We have 2 days of pizza night. Pizza. Wow. That's what So, Friday night, ended the section, you go to the aquarium. Pizza night. The guy's cooking the pizza there. And you're going to eat a few slices. I figured out that a normal person eat 3-4 slices. A non-regular person can eat a whole pizza. Don't worry. Eat the pizza. Again, we cannot provide alcohol. So we're going to provide a special soft drink for you. Okay? Very good special drink that goes with pizza. So, 2 nights of pizza. Friday and Monday. Okay? Friday night, Monday night. Why we did not put another one? Because there is a poster on Thursday. And there will be a confusion there. And the last day is also, doesn't work to give you pizza. I mean, we give it on Monday, you get very fat, and then you go home. We in the Institute have periodically, we offer an honorarium professor for somebody. And along this year, the congregation of our Institute selected John Weiner. John Weiner? What is John? John is an American physicist that now lives in France. And he was a very nice... He was a very nice faculty. He came to Brazil infinite times. He was living here for 2 years during one period. And he helped the engineering school to start many different things on photonics, on plasmonics. He helped to advise many students, including some of my own students. And the Institute decided to honor. So today between 7 to 7:30, there will be a small section here to give him the diploma of honorary faculty of our Institute. After that, we go to the Festa Junina. So please come and enjoy, because you see, we recognize very little people, right? We give a lot of prizes around, normally indicated by the friends. It's very nice when spontaneously an institution comes with something like this. We have many other honorary professors here. Bill Phillips, he comes every year to this institution. Dan Kleppner, he comes every year. Now he's a little bit debilitated. Alan Asper. And David Pritchard. And I don't remember the name of the people in proteins and everything from England. That also was very fundamental in starting groups. So please join us today. It's a very fast stuff, and will be easy. So I'm done with this, and I would like to, before I give you the word to IOP, which is the institution that holds the laser physics journals, I have here Professor Kleber Mendonça. He is representing the director of this institute, and he's just going to give a welcome, not breaking the tradition, so let's some authority. He doesn't look like one, but he is. Let's...
Come on. Thank you, Vanderlei. So I'll make like a very short speech, of course. I work with ultra-short laser pulses, so of course I have to keep it short enough. And just to, I guess, like keep up with the protocol, as you realize, Vanderlei is very attached to protocols, as me. But anyways, so good morning to everyone, and be welcome to this conference, to the São Carlos Institute. So in name of the São Carlos Institute of Physics, it's my great honor and privilege to be here and be part of this opening section of actually the 32nd International Conference or Workshop in Laser Physics. I was there in Iguaçu Falls. It was 20 years ago, I guess. I had hair at that time, for sure. So I'm getting smarter, right, Vanderlei? Also, I welcome people from ABLOS, the conference on laser for dentistry and health. Also, during this week, we have other satellite events, such as the Scientific Initiation Symposium. It started yesterday. I gave a small course on optical fibers yesterday. It was very fun in the lab, playing with the kids and try to splice some optical fibers. So we had a lot of fun. So one of the students is there laughing already. Also during this week, we have the meeting for the SysPhoton, which is the System for National Labs in Photonics, which is a very important initiative from the federal government. So we have that also here. So for sure, events like these ones are unique platforms for researchers and also for students to share their insights, ideas, and knowledge. And I'm sure that during this week, we will foster partnerships, and also that will lead to scientific collaborations and advancements. So I wish everyone an excellent meeting and a week full of accomplishments. I hope you leave São Carlos with renewed enthusiasm and also with strength, collaborations, and connections. If there's anything that the Physics Institute can make to assist you during your stay in São Carlos, please don't hesitate to contact us. And so thank you once again for being here, and let's make this event, or all these events, right? Because we have 4 at least, a memorable and impactful one. So thank you for your attention, and be welcome to São Carlos.
Kleber is a part of community of lasers. Now we're going to give the word to the representative of IOP. Oh, you can use it.
Okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Sofia Marceglia, and I am a publisher working for IOP Publishing. IOP Publishing is the publishing branch of the Institute of Physics, and we're based in the UK in Bristol. So should you ever pop by, let me know. So I'd like to thank the Astro team the laser physics team for inviting me to attend the conference. Sorry, thank you.
Kleber was a little...
Yeah, I'm a little bit shorter. Yes, just thank you for letting me attend. It's a great opportunity to engage with you all, sort of the researchers of this important field. And it's also an opportunity for me to talk to you about what developments are happening across publishing industry. And so today I wanted to talk to you about open access and transformative agreements, because it's one of the latest and biggest developments that are taking place in the industry at the moment. So before I get stuck into what sort of the ins and outs and open access and transformative agreements, I just wanted to just take a moment to discuss how the publishing model has changed since open access has come about. So probably most of you know that historically journals mostly operated under a subscription model. So this means that it's free to submit a paper and to publish, but the article falls behind a paywall that is only accessed by those who subscribe to the journal. Since open access has come about, publishers have had to change the model, and so journals have been converted to hybrid, which means that they offer both subscription and open access. So in the case of Laser Physics and Laser Physics Letters, they're hybrid journals. So they offer the subscription option, and open access means that there is a cost associated with publishing open access, but then your paper is freely available for all to read. As time has gone on and open access is becoming bigger, we're seeing the launch of fully open access journals. We're also seeing journals moving from hybrid to fully open access, but that only happens when it's sustainable to do so. There are different types of open access. So the two that I wanted to talk to you about today are the two that are most commonly used by our researchers, which is green and gold open access. So green is completely free. So this means that you submit your paper the way that you normally would, but this is when authors self-archive their paper on a repository. And after undergoing an embargo period of 12, 24 months, depending on the subject area and the publisher, the paper is then freely accessible to all. A couple things to note about green open access is that the accepted paper means that it's gone through the peer review process, but it hasn't been edited or typeset, but also the copyright stays with the publisher and the society. Gold open access is a little bit more straightforward in the sense that this is when the final published article is made freely available, but this is upon the receipt of the payment of an APC, which is an article processing charge. And this is usually placed on the individual, the institution, the funder, and through Gold Open Access, you sign a CC BY license. So this means that the copyright goes to the author, and it can be pretty much reproduced and reused anywhere. So publishing open access, there's definitely a few key things that are worth mentioning in terms of, why choose open access. So first I'll point you to sort of the blue boxes that we have on the screen with just a few metrics. And this is data that has been gathered from this year, so 2024, so it's quite recent. So within the same journal, we're seeing open access articles receiving higher downloads compared to subscription ones, so that it's at least 70% higher. We're also seeing a very similar trait with the citations, which are 15% higher. Again, 1570, there's a big difference there, but it shows that there's a lot of engagement with the open access papers. And also, when it comes to altmetric scores, I don't know if everyone here is familiar with altmetric. It's a data science company that tracks the online engagement with a particular paper. So this will be in relation to social media outlets, news, policy documents, and they calculate a score based on the engagement with that particular paper. So even with this, we're seeing 19% higher engagement with open access articles compared to subscription ones. As I mentioned, open access is gaining increasing momentum. So this means that and this is also because we're seeing policymakers, funders increasingly mandating open access. So this means that by publishing open access, we're complying with grant obligations. As I mentioned, the author would sign a license where the copyright would go to them. And then open access promotes transparency and openness. And we're committed to providing this through the journals that we publish. So when it comes to open access, that's, there's other work that we need to do in this space in relation to open science. And the way that we've done this is by creating a program that is called Open Physics, that is basically a set of commitments, tasks that focus on making science more open. And we have 3 different strands to the work that we do, which are focused on access, transparency, and inclusivity. So in terms of access, we are basically wanting to make sure that there is wider engagement with open access. So we do this through our transformative agreements, which I'll talk to you about in a second, and also through our APC waiver and discount program, which I'll also talk to you about a little bit more later. In terms of transparency, we are focusing a lot on the peer review side of things. So we offer transparent peer review for some of our journals, where where people choose to opt for that option. We're transparent with our metrics, and in terms of inclusivity, we're currently looking at sort of expanding the pool of scientific ideas, again, through sort of the peer review side of things, by training early career researchers when it comes to, how to carry out a review, and also, through name change policies, and by converting a lot of our own journals to double anonymous as well. So I'm going to focus on the access strand. And so I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about transformative agreements, because these are the biggest thing that publishers across the industry are working on. So a transformative agreement is a contract between an institution or a consortia and a publisher, and it transitions the business model from subscription to open access in a very sustainable way. So if I point you to the arrow, you'll see that we have a box saying subscription and reading access. So previously contracts with institutions, they pay money to just access the content on that particular platform. But the way that these transformative agreements work is that the contract now includes APCs. So the researchers at those particular institutions can access the content for free, and can also they can publish their paper open access free of cost. So this is covered by the contract with the institution. One thing that I'll say about our agreements is that they are unlimited, so you can publish, there's no cap, so we try to encourage as much publication as possible. So I just thought I'd give you sort of a quick overview of what agreements IOPP currently has in place. So I think we have about 130 agreements in about 35 regions, 900 institutions, so it's quite a lot. And global coverage, yes, relatively good coverage, but obviously there are certain areas that have higher concentration of agreements compared to others. The reason for that, so for example, starting with Western Europe, so we see that there's a lot of agreements in that place, and the reason for that is because open access started in Western Europe as a movement, so it's very established. There's a lot of funding, and because of funder mandating open access publication, it means that there is a big focus to have transformative agreements in place to allow that. North America is becoming the same. It's been gaining increasing momentum, so we have a lot of agreements in place. The dots also signify agreements with individual institutions or groups of institutions as well. A couple of agreements in Central and Southern America. Obviously, we're here in Brazil. Brazil still doesn't have an agreement in place, but we are in conversations with various institutions, so hopefully watch this space. And then we have other regions such as Southern Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. But obviously, due to funding in these regions, it is quite difficult to establish these agreements. But we're constantly working and having discussions with these regions. China, also not particularly, no agreements there at the moment, and open access is a little bit slower in this area as well. So, I think everything's moved. So I thought I'd just let you know, just in case anyone belongs to an institution with a transformative agreement, with just some advice onto how to find out. So we have different ways that we can do so. So for example, I would recommend checking our publishing support website. So that will give you a little bit more information. Your librarians are the best people to speak to as well, so they have all of the information when it comes to these contracts. I've left here a couple of QR codes. So we have the Transformative Agreement Hub and the eligible journal list. I'd recommend using the journal list first, because with some agreements, maybe some journals might not be included, but this is quite rare, but it's obviously worth checking. And the other important thing to mention is that to be eligible for a transformative agreement, you need to be the corresponding author. So that is the person who submits the manuscript and is responsible, to talk to the journal during the submission, peer review process, and publication, and is the person that would be listed on the paper as a contributing author. So very quickly, it's quite simple to publish under one of these agreements. We've identified 4 key steps. which are submission, identification, agreeing the license, and then publication. So before submitting, best to check if the journal is part of this agreement through the codes that I've left before. Then you submit the paper. Then we take everything on. So we identify the article and let you know if you're included in an agreement. The author then agrees to publish open access via this particular license, so the CC-BY. And then if the paper is accepted for publication, the article will be published as open access under the agreement, so at no cost to the author on APCs, because obviously publishing open access is, it's expensive. And so through the World Bank classification, we've identified areas that are eligible for these particular discounts. So in the map, you'll see that we have in orange, the low-income countries, and in yellow, the mid-income countries. And these regions have different levels of discounts in place. So for the lowest income countries, we waiver the fee completely. So there's no cost associated with publishing open access. And then for the mid-income countries, we have significantly reduced the cost. I think the cap is at £500, but it will be less than that. And again, this is to sort of try and help with removing the barrier for certain regions when it comes to open access. Side note, we have a reviewer discount as well. So if anyone is planning on reviewing for the journal, or for the journals that we have, has reviewed or planning on reviewing, we have a 10% discount on APCs. So that's just also for your information as well. I think that's everything. Obviously, I've covered a lot, so hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming. So if you have any questions, happy to take any. I'm also around for the rest of the week should you have any questions about this or anything publishing related. And I've also left a couple of QR codes there for your reference, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was very clarified. She is around. Anybody that has questions to the IOP can directly look for you in a coffee or any other time. So, this is closing this opening section. I thank you very much for coming. It's without you, the international workshop would not take place. We're going to move on for the first plenary. And we are just a little bit late, but